13 is the final adoption for the ordinance for the salaries of mayor, council president, and council members.
This ordinance was introduced last week. We need a motion now to enact the ordinance.
I'll move that we.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Let's talk about it.
Now, any discussion? Mr. Stankowski?
Yeah, we're talking about the mayor and the mayor's salary, and I also referenced Rick Kingree's letter to the editor in the paper. And it has to do with the salary, and yet it has to do with the council. And there's an old adage that says, if you like the law or sausage, don't watch either one of them being made. And this applies to the relationship between the mayor and the council. There have been media reports that we were cutting the mayor's salary in midterm. Well, that's not true. And there are other reports that picture turmoil and dissension and politicking and depicting the mayor as the victim and the council as the villain. The interaction of the council and the mayor in our city is America's government in action at its finest. We propose, we debate, we discuss, we deliberate, and we compromise. The mayor is not a victim, nor is the council a villain, as the media would have us believe. This is democracy in action. That's the way we do things. What matters most is not the process, or who's right or who's wrong. There's no victim and there's no villain. It's the results that count, and what's best for the city and the citizens. And let's take a quick look at what happened in the last 2.5 years. We have $4 million in the hurricane fund. We have $2 million in the reserve fund. We have long-term debt of $30 million, but we have paid off over $4 million of the debt, which would have been 34. We have a balance on our library of $847,000 on the bridge loan. In addition to the finances, we got a new computer system for the city. On public safety, we got a computer-aided dispatch system. We got radios and new antennas. We upgraded the cars and equipment for the police department and the fire department as public safety. How about public services? We're upgrading the infrastructure of the electrical department. Galvanized pipe in the fruit and nut section is being replaced with up to snuff pipe. Not that the galvanized could possibly be a hazard. We've got road paving projects. We got new trash and garbage trucks. In recreation, we got a new facility. We redid the golf course. We bought 30 acres of land. Our park and pier is in excellent condition. During this recessionary time, during an oil spill and a housing bust, not one city employee was furloughed or laid off. Not so with cities surrounding us. Property values. Here's the Mobile Press Register. Fairhope housing market has highest prices in new survey. 2,300 realtors were surveyed at 2,300 markets. And Fairhope has the highest property value in the community, in the state. And these are some of the results as coming from this mayor-council stuff, which is, that's the way it's done. It's not a victim. There's no victim. There's no villain. It's democracy in action. Free speech, deliberate, dissension, compromise. And that's why we're celebrating the 4th of July this weekend, because we have democracy, because we can openly debate and discuss these things. It's not a bad process. It's a good process. It's an open process. And that's where we're at. Happy 4th of July.
Whoever succeeds in, we're a unique city. We don't need to be like every other city. And we're trying to make it that way. We're taking away the power of the mayor and all this other stuff. And it really, really hurts me because I've seen it when it was every other city. And And I know what we put into it to make it what it is today. And now we seem to be tearing it apart brick by brick or block by block. And I don't see anything good being put in its place.
Did you just hear the numbers that Dan talked about, the money? I mean, that seems to me like we're sort of leading the pack. Anyway, that's all I'll
We're
say.
leading the pack, and why do we have, that's what my point is, why do we have to be like every other city?
That's right. I want to argue with you, but if you look back at where we were 2.5 years ago, where we had no reserves, we had none of this money, the red line was crossing the black line. Look where we were then with the leadership. Look where we are now monetarily. So again, I don't want to debate you, but you just can't throw those words out and negate everything else, Mike. Did you have anything?
I'm not
Rick?
trying to negate everything else, but I'll say this. We were a lot better off 3 years ago than we are now. You just ask anybody on the street. Forget money. We're talking about government. We just ask anybody and see if we're not better off. We're better off than we are now. Now that's my opinion, and you got your opinion, and you know.
I don't think you heard a word I said, Mr. Ford.
I've heard it so many times.
I mean, the results speak for themselves.
Well, you can do all kinds of things to make money if that's your primary goal.
No,
This
it
city
wasn't.
was
It
not
wasn't
broke
all
when we
money,
put that
Mike.
sales
It
tax
wasn't
in.
all
It was
money.
not broke, and it wasn't going to be broke.
Mike, do you remember it was either the first or second meeting that we sat in, where the accountants came in and they said the black line and the red line were crossing, and now they're not? And so you're saying we have lots of money. There's a big difference. And I think anybody that's
What's the
ever
difference?
run, wait a second, Mike. Anybody that's ever run a household knows that just because you have a lot of money in the bank, if you've got a big giant debt service that you've got to do, you don't have a whole lot of money. And that's kind of what we were doing. We were borrowing, robbing Peter to pay Paul, because we were taking, if you'll recall, the utilities had gone from what was supposed to be, just taking enough money to get operational funds. We were up over 80% in every utility, taking money from that to help run the city.
That's why we
Now, all of a sudden, we're back down to about 60%. We're and there, you know what? The utilities, if you'll recall, they did not have the slightest idea where they were going to get needed equipment, to update the equipment, to maintain the equipment, to get good operating equipment. They were at wit's end because they didn't have any money to do it. Now, all of a sudden, they've got money to do it. I'm not saying it's all the council's responsibility. I'm not saying it's all Tim's fault. But I'm saying, let's be honest. Let's look at things the way they are. You can say whatever you want to. I asked the people to go back and look at what was in existence then and where we are now. And whether you like the 2-cent sales tax or not, it saved our hide. It saved our hide, or we would have laid a sack full of people off. And that's probably the most important thing that Stankowski said, was nobody's gotten laid off. Nobody's lost a job. But, you want to
Nobody's got a
say...
salary raise. Nobody's got a raise. either.
You're right, but you know what?
But we
Let me
hired-
ask you something.
we
Do
hired-
let me ask you something. Would you rather have a job, or would
Well,
you
I'd
rather
have a
lose your job?
Yeah, I'd rather have a job.
To say that, we do have a city administrator now. And before that, we had a city superintendent and, what were they called? The general superintendent that the mayor had appointed, which was Greg Mims also. So with that, you've got Auburn, who's 42,000 people, their mayor gets $16,000. You got Phoenix City, which is 28,000 people, their mayor gets $12,000. Vestavia Hills, 24,000 people, their mayor is $30,000. Northport's 19,000 people with $15,000. Talladega is 15,000 people with $9,000 for their mayor. So I think we're pretty much in line with all the other cities, especially in the knowledge that we have great supervisors that do well, that work full time. The mayor, like Lonnie said, he's not full time, he's not part time, he's whatever time he wants, and we can't make him come in and we can't make him do whatever hours we want them to do. And this is for the next council and then the next mayor. It's not for this, and we don't know who that's going to be. It may be all 6 of us may be gone. So it's for the next group of people that come in. Thank you.
Any other discussion?